Hey everybody, this is Guy with Survive. Good morning and thank you so much for stopping by. So we started a conversation yesterday, but that was just the beginning. I promised you guys radical transparency here. So coming back to Gettysburg, we're gonna do that. You guys are gonna come along for every step of the journey, and that begins with, I guess next, I didn't have to wait long for this to come up, and I'm really glad now because every time I get to share something and be fully transparent, I feel a bit lighter. So today we're going to talk about our backlog and how we plan to get through that, some of the struggles we've had with that, and then we're going to make another video on our plan for moving forward. Before I get started, I genuinely want to apologize to all of my customers, all of my friends out there. I lost my way somewhere along here, and I just sort of lost myself in all of this, in this pursuit. And as it's gotten heavier and heavier, my path has deviated from the objectives I set out to achieve when I first started this. I'm realizing over time that I've gotten crushed down a bit, and I've been conforming to more of the industry instead of being my true genuine self. And since my grandmother's passed, I've been doing a lot of thinking and just self-assessment, and I'm realizing just how I've compromised myself and some of my values. And I think you can look back in some of my videos and see that I realize I sound kind of like a hostage trying to explain things while preserving some sort of industry underbelly and things that, you know, just some misplaced sense of loyalty. I don't know, but just know that I'm back now. All right, we're back here in Pennsylvania. I promised you guys radical transparency. And this isn't just a business for me. This is a journey. We're all in this together, and this is about betterment and creating something of genuine value. So we're gonna keep creating a bunch of content, and I just realized, other than the few people I trust in this industry and work with, that I have good relationships. I don't owe this industry anything, nothing. All right, I owe you guys everything. Anything I have is due to you. You're seeing the value in our ideas and our commitment to quality. So if you support our mission to quality, we're just gonna go in and talk about some of this old backlog. And then, like I said, we're gonna make another video to talk about our path forward now. I think a lot of things are gonna start making sense to everybody now that I don't care. I'm realizing, looking around, I've taken all the hits and everything, and I've dragged my name through the mud in trying to pursue quality. And I'm gonna take the hit for the whole industry, everybody. I know other small makers and manufacturers are going through the same things, but it's counterproductive to your self-interest to talk about these things. And I know some of you are going to withdraw from this. You don't want to hear these things, but we're going to talk about it. And I think by the, days, weeks, whatever, you're going to see a consistency in me that this isn't a narrative. This is objective fact. And I'm going to stand on truth. I'm going to ride or die on transparency and just truth. And if people fall short in this industry, we're going to all call them out together, and we're going to demand a higher level of accountability. This industry deserves better. You guys deserve better. When I see you guys spending so much money on some of this stuff for this perceived quality, when I know in my mind what's going on with some of this stuff, this industry protects itself, and just, I'm so disillusioned. I've seen too much now, and we're going to talk about it. I've had an interaction with every aspect of this industry along my journey, and just coming to these realizations and understandings now, I don't care. So, if I'm going to compromise my values, nothing I'm doing is worth hanging on to anyway. So, this is just, death before dismount. We're just going to do this, and we're just going to make a bunch of content, and I'm going to make videos so that you see with your eyes what we see. And you're going to start connecting a lot of dots from back in the day to now. Just a lot of the decisions we've made, why we've done things, moving away from 20 CV, replacing orders with MagnaCut. We're going to talk about all of it. So, I've realized, looking back at my videos, I'm trying to be transparent without giving you all of the information. So we're going to go in the shop and talk about some of this older backlog, and whatever, it's going to be what it is. You guys are going to understand my absolute commitment to quality for you guys. And I think that by doing this, you're going to see where you're not getting that genuine value in a lot of the industry. Like I said, there's a lot of good high quality makers out there, people that mean this genuinely in their heart, that want to provide something of value. but there's real struggles. So I'm just gonna jump in front of it for everybody, and screw it. You know, I'm already getting great feedback and some additional photos. I'm gonna put this right up here. This is no shade at this brand, but you know, this person paid a lot of good money wherever Ellie puts these photos for this product, and he preferred to have the metal finish. So he took the coating off, and now that's a very expensive tool. You know, somebody that's known in the industry as being top quality and just a vehemently loyal customer base, but these standards are egregious, and we're gonna start calling all of it out. I don't owe any of these people money. You know, they're not, or yeah, I don't owe any of these people anything. You know, they're not paying my bills. They're not interacting with me. We've never, you know, there's no collaboration in this industry. I'm realizing behind the scenes, a lot of this is very cutthroat. And I've been a kite in a hurricane for a heck of a long time, and I'm just gonna be that. You know, I realized a few years back, I don't necessarily like the term, but Knife News called me the Knife Nazi. And I'm just gonna own that, because that's true. I mean this, and the quality is going to be absolute, or I just don't wanna do this. So without any further ado, let's go inside and talk about some stuff. Okay, so we're back inside here. We're gonna talk about the last of our older backlog, what's going on with that, but some of this bears some explaining. And I'd like to open this up by saying this isn't a Survive issue or a Peters heat treat issue. These are material issues, and different manufacturers have found different ways to deal with these things. And what I found is a lot of them just lower their standards to something that is acceptable for their workflow. I'll show you some things here, but I think that when you start seeing, I don't think a lot of knives perform the way you think they should. That like your actual user performance doesn't match the expectation laid out by marketing initiatives. And I think that's where, you know, when I go down to Edgeworks, there's just some disillusionment with some things, and just this undertone of disappointment in a lot of things. And that's not what I'm trying to produce, and I want to make something of genuine value. And I think that's where our fans, when they try to talk about where we are, that, you know, they get just chewed up, and where they have a really good experience, they're happy to share that. It's people just try to drag them back down, and I don't find that to be right. So whether you know it or not, or the manufacturers know it or not, these are all the same materials coming from the same supplier. So if you're getting these grades, it's all the same materials behind the scenes. And I think that you'll understand why a lot of companies paint things or have extremely rough finishes to match mask things. And, you know, to a lesser extent, people were asking yesterday, like, why don't other manufacturers see this? Well, we have a painting process that is kind of unique to us, and it highlights those deficiencies. A lot of processes, early on I noticed with, I'll show you one of our old 20 CB knives. I was just a customer of subcontractors, and all the parts look good until they start getting fielded, and then you start seeing things as users are using these tools, material deficiencies start cropping up once they're fielded. And I love our painting process now, because it's turned out to be the ultimate last QC step before knives go out the door. It highlights everything under this light compressive peen, and any deficiencies or inconsistencies are immediately apparent, and I can pick those out so that these things aren't fielded. So if other companies are more successful with these materials, know that those same issues are pervasive across all these grades, and that there's just varying standards. So they're just fielding it, and that's where you get more warranties and stuff. And I don't like having warranties. I like doing a good job and being able to know that I can use materials that I trust. So looking into this right here, we're going to talk about some of these GSO-12s, and I'm going to ask you, which of these 12s do you want? Thankfully, Trevor and some of the folks up here have seen what I'm going through, and we're taking some of these up here to Peters Heat Treat now to handle this in a more intelligent way. We've talked this through, and they believe they might have some solutions for us to get this a little more consistent and workable for me, because this is terrible. You know, I'm going to put these on the flat plate here, but look at the amount of deflection in these. And what I believe is going on here, after I'm seeing trends in different grades across the board, I've realized that these materials in processing, how Niagara Specialty Metals processes things, where other companies have different formulas for each grade for processing, all of these materials have to conform to the same recipe. And if Ellie makes a little space off here to one side or the other, I'll start sharing some of these internal memos that were being passed around. And I've learned too much, and I'm starting to have greater understandings because of it. And I think what's going on here is we have some handling deficiencies when we're processing these materials, so that we're getting some compressed stress into these parts, and we don't always have proper annealing temps or proper handling temps being held while these materials are being worked, and you put stress and things into the materials. So aside from like slight inconsistencies within the actual matrix of these steels that causes some bowing, there's, I believe, some handling things that make some of these materials inconsistent. Sometimes our parts come out flat, and sometimes they come out all kinds of twisted up, moving, and then that became really apparent with a less stable grade in that crew forge, which gave me some data to start investigating some of this. And as we've taken over all of our manufacturing, all of these things have become apparent to me. So I'm gonna show you some of these here and what we've been going through, and tell me, which GSO-12 do you want me to deliver to you? If you want the really warped up one, I'll do that. Or you can give me the time to get these things done correctly. And know that I've absorbed things where other folks they weren't able to follow through, and I'm starting to understand why. I moved down to Boise, and they called my last service provider names, and we all had a good laugh at the standards, but then they couldn't follow through either. So here I am, I paid to have this work done, and now we're still doing it. And the material supplier, apparently this is all within spec. I brought all of this up, and they seem fine with the standard, so now we're talking about it. So, this is one that's like 90 thousandths out of flat. That's terrible. So if you want to go out and feel good about your tool, do you want to always look down the spine of this knife and see it's making a left-hand turn? That's going to affect sheath fitment. That's going to rub all along this side of the sheath every time you sheath it and unsheath it. So do I make custom sheaths for every one of these? These are going to end up being like $800 knives if we can't get this under control, or I'm just not making stuff like this. Thankfully, we do have high quality Böhler Udahome grades coming in here, but these are terrible. I'll do it this way. This is, it's like a rocking horse. So these are all, this is what I've been working through. So what I'm finding is, there's a combination of stress and stuff in here, and looking at this, what I'd like to see is this material replaced, because what I've learned is I don't believe this is always fully stress-free and annealed, ready to be worked with. And we're learning with the crew forge, we can do, once we cut out parts, we'll do a follow-up full anneal on everything, and we're getting better results, but it's too late for these parts. Once we've hardened these, that's set. So we have to find other ways to get some of that out of there. And thankfully, the guys up at Peter's Heat Treat are seeing this, and they're humoring me, and it's just become kind of a favor, so that we're all moving together and we're learning how to deal with some of these inconsistencies. So they're terrible. So I can give you that 12, or you can give me the time. Here's the Survive standard. So this is what I believe in. This is the standard I want for you guys. So this is what we're doing. So watch this. Flat. That's a nice, beautiful part. That's something I'm proud of. But it's costing me a pint of blood for every one of these to get these out the door for you. And I sold most of these at like $315 or something dollars. I just didn't know that the standards and things that are published aren't true. So is that my fault? If the material suppliers won't get behind this, this is my standard. And I know I can achieve this with better materials. When it's right, it's right. But there's some manufacturing inconsistencies that bite us in the ass, and we're just made to deal with it. So some companies just accept that as a standard, and you get a warped part. Other people, what I found is through investigation, I told you in another video that during the abuse testing that the magnet cut responded pretty well to that Boise heat treat. Well, they're only pushing a 1-bar quench. So when you start pushing the faster quench to get that nice performance is when you really start getting the twisting. But at a 1-bar quench, these were done by the local heat treater. We were gonna do an experiment and just didn't. But it gave me some data here. These parts are relatively flat. They're at 60 Rockwell, so they're workable. A couple big companies out there use that heat treater, but you know, you want the performance and I want you to have the performance. So when we do a higher pressure quench, we have a lot of twisting in these. So there's a lot of difference between a really rapid, like sub 1 minute quench and a 7.5 minute quench. There's other things going on in the steel where you want that performance, and I want that for you, but the materials we're using need to be consistent with our goals. And so far that's not what I'm seeing. And if these companies aren't going to get behind it, please tell me, what am I supposed to do? Public opinion. You know, should they be replacing this stuff? What's the solve here? Because I think this is a warranty issue, but if there's no standards I can hold anybody to, then it just is what it is. It's whatever goodwill they feel like giving us, and that's just the way it is. So looking at that, so we're wrapping up the last of the 10s and 12s, but that's what we're working through. So know that I'm working with Peter's Heat Treat. We're gonna try little sample batches to make sure we have a good process to predictably get these done. And I'm not doing big blades for a while again. I wanna know that we have reliable, consistent materials before I jump back into this, because in addition to this, we do have the small material inconsistencies. And when you get into these very large parts with a lot of surface area, what that translates into is twisting, and then the profiles move. And that causes a lot of headache with sheath fitment, with handle fitment. The bolt hole spacing changes pretty drastically sometimes, so we're not getting the fitment we're looking for. And with these other higher quality third generation steels, we don't have these issues. Everything is exactly what the data sheet says, and I can rely on that. So my only fault here, I believe, is trusting the data and the promises on this stuff. And like I said, I feel like these warranties are worth about as much as some chewed bubble gum on the bottom of my shoe. It's not, this isn't right. And I'm just tired of being a bulletproof vest for these larger companies. So we're talking about it. We're getting back to the core values and being transparent. And I'm gonna bring you guys in here as much as you want to make you feel like you're a part of this, that you feel like you're in here. And if you wanna come in here, we have an open door policy. Come in here anytime and look at what we're doing. But Ellie, come on over. Oh, wait. So 20 CV real quick. I used to be a customer of other manufacturers. Early on, I was having grinding work done by Larkin Precision out in Kent, Washington for production knife grinding. They do a really nice job. But these used to be tumbled, so I never saw any of this stuff. And I had this knife come back on warranty. A customer was wondering about spotting and some fisheye rust spots in his blade. So between when I fielded these and when I started taking over some of the finishing due to other issues, I had gotten my equipment and started my peening process. Well, you're gonna see this is the ultimate last step in ensuring quality for you guys and knowing that we have a good, clean, functional part. I went to peen this, and those fisheye rust spots turned into these giant voids, and that's egregious. That shouldn't happen. You know, looking at how these materials are made, that isn't consistent with what they're saying, the marketing claims. You know, there's just giant holes everywhere, so that's not homogeneous. That stuff was waiting to blow out of there. As soon as some corrosion, you know, we got some water in there that ate away at that in there, and it just blew out. So that's where I just paused 20 CV, and I'm sorry for the delays in, you know, when we had delays in delivering some of this stuff, but this is what I was going through, and I was trying to keep it quiet in the spirit of cooperation with these companies, but that got us nowhere. There's no improvements, nobody was made whole, so we're just talking about it and adopting just a fully transparent model here. You know, we're all in this together. So that's where I moved to MagnaCut when that started, and we replaced those orders with MagnaCut, so everybody was happy. Sorry, this is all unscripted. I just had to collect my thoughts there real quick and decide where I was going next with this. So looking back at some of that, you know, I learned a lot of that from this experience. So we got this CrewForge V custom rolled for us, and what I'm learning is I don't think the rolling and annealing and all that stuff is ideal for all these materials. When I look at other data sheets for some of these grade equivalents, the data says different things than what Niagara Specialty Metals and Crucible's data sheets say. You know, when you going back to the MagnaCut issue, they're still figuring stuff out. And these internal memos, you know, they've got these annealing temps and stuff, but now they're adjusting on the fly. And again, we'll put this information up here, just some of these internal memos. You can see they're still experimenting with temperatures and formulas for handling this stuff. And we're the lab rats for all of this. You know, they're adjusting their formula on the fly and just trying to suppress any dissent along the way to maintain the illusion of this utmost quality, instead of fully thinking all this stuff out, making sure that it's ready for public consumption, and not just crushing little makers with these inconsistent, erratic results. Just look around the forums. There's a lot of talk about this. So when I look at stuff like that, this stuff starts making more sense. So they just ran this CrewForge V, the same formula for everything, and we weren't aware of that. So we believe the data sheets. When they say this is decarb free, stress free, annealed material, we machined this, sent this off to heat treat. Now these are screwed. We set these and they had a bunch of compressive stress and stuff in the sheets, which is a shame because this material was actually really nice. Where all these like smiled or frowned a lot out of their original profiles because there was stress in there that we weren't aware of. But we've been looking at everything and taking notes, and now we understand this. So the next batch is when you're seeing those sweet new thick Vendetta 5.5s, we're doing a full anneal, and we're creating this very individualized attention for each one of these to overcome some of the struggles with the inconsistencies in these materials. But it's hard to know unless you gain all this experience and just learn the hard way. And that's, you know, every step of our journey, we've been learning lessons, and it's been a school of hard knocks, but we're still here and still persevering. And I hope you guys can see that. And I'm just gonna keep sharing this stuff. So next we're gonna go over here and just share, you know, so that's a massive amount of material. Between all these issues, I think that was 18 sheets of MagnaCut. And I threw a lot of it away because it was absolutely twisted up when we left Boise, and we realized that CrewForge, what did I say?
MagnaCut.
Oh yeah, the CrewForge V. That was 18 sheets worth of steel that I'm just eating in loss. And that's not a formula for a viable business. And these companies just say it's within spec, you should know what you're doing, and, you know, piss off. So cool, okay, well, let's talk about it, and you come to your own determinations. You know, we can have these chat discussions in forums where we're just kind of doing a confirmation bias thing, or I can show you in here and you can see with your eyes what's happening. And that's my model from now on. You're getting me. I know I'm not everybody's flavor, but I'd rather be genuine than this character. And you're just getting me from now on. So as we're working through this is the last of our 12s, and we have very minimal 10s, but we just want to make sure they're all nice and workable so you guys are getting the highest quality thing. Anything I let out the door is amazing, but it sometimes takes a lot to get there, you know. And when I see some of the other custom makers and the small manufacturers, the warping issues, you know, especially in some of these guys making nice big parts, you start to understand why they're thousands of dollars. Because when I get photos where, you know, these aren't up for the stress of some of these rapid quenches and handling practices, you've got some of these bigger things breaking in heat treat due to material inconsistencies, where it's putting that stress in there and highlighting these deficiencies, and they break in heat treat, and then you're just out that material, or they warp so bad that they're not salvageable at all. And we're just quietly eating that. So I'm just jumping in front of this for everybody. You know, thank you to everybody. Know that I'm your ally here. Other small makers, manufacturers, you have a platform to voice your opinions and talk about these things on my pages, on my social media. I will help you. I will be your ally in this. So please, if there's things you want, our email address is out there, and just send us stuff, or just send us stuff through social media and share this, and I'm gonna share it and air this stuff out for you guys. We all deserve better, and we need to start holding these people to higher standards. So I think from here, I'm just gonna cut this video off for now, and I think that explains some of what we've been going through, and all this kills our energy. We can't keep things moving. I've incurred overhead. We have expenses to maintain all of this stuff now to do this nice job. So I want to do the best job possible, but like I said before, I need to operate within the confines of this capitalist system. So I believe together we can all, you know, I can get all this stuff delivered and have it be that absolute quality, but we're moving towards some more productive solutions. So if you want to help our small business out, start ordering some of this new stuff. It's going to deliver in a lot shorter time frame, and that's going to give us the ability to handle all of this so everybody gets what they want, we get what we need to continue moving forward and upholding these absolute standards. And that's going to give us the push to start investing more heavily in some of these high quality Böhler Uddeholm steels. Some of these grades are going to be expensive due to some taxes and tariffs, but I'll do it. At the end of the day, they're very expensive, but if we're careful, it's only a couple dollars difference in the overall product. So, I don't mind doing that. That's where you don't see me upcharging for different steels or this extremely limited batch of K890 I've waited so long for. By any other standard, I should be charging a ton of money for that, but that's not why I got into this. I want to do this for a fair value based on our expenses, plus just a margin for continuing to invest in things. So I am completely departing from all these industry standards, and we're going to stand alone. And I'm fine with that. So yeah, I hope you found this informative, and just keep stopping by. I've got lots of stuff to share with you, and we do have a lot of good progress happening. So don't let that get lost in all of this. This needs explained, and I know it's uncomfortable, but once we explain this and show you our position, these timelines and stuff, and what we've been going through are gonna make a lot more sense now. You can look back, and these things make sense. And I think by making these videos, I hope we can start fostering some higher accountability. So anyway, I'm gonna get to work here, but I hope you found this to be informative, and stop back soon. We got a lot more to share.